Back, we're reading the fascinating stories of the Native Americans, and this story is from the Yuma tribe, and is titled The Good Twin and the Evil Twin. This is how it all began. There was only water. There was no sky. There was no land, only nothingness. Then out of the waters rose a mist, and it became the sky. Still, there were no sun, no moon, no stars, just darkness. But deep down in the waters lived Kokomat, the creator. He was bodiless, nameless, breathless, motionless, and he was two beings, twins. The waters stirred and rushed and thundered, and out of the spray and foam rose the first twin, the good twin. With closed eyes he cleaved the waves and came to the surface. He stood upon the waters, opened his eyes, and saw. There he named himself Kokomat, All-Father. And from beneath the waters a second voice called out to Kokomat, "Brother, how did you rise? With eyes open or with eyes closed?" Bakotol was the evil twin, and Kokomat wanted to make it more difficult for him to do harm. So Kokomat lied to him, saying, "I opened my eyes while I was under water." The second twin opened his eyes as he rose, and when he reached the surface he was blind. Kokomat said, "I name you Bakotahol, the blind one." Then Kokomat said, "Now I shall make the 4 directions." He pointed with his finger and took 4 steps, walking on the water. Then he stood still for a while and said, "Ho, this is north." Then he went back to his starting place, and in the same manner made the west, the south, and the east, always taking 4 steps in each direction and always returning to the center. Now Kokomat said, "I shall make the earth blind." Bakotol answered, "I don't think you have the power to do this." "Certainly I have," said Kokomat. "Let me try to make the earth first," asked Bakotol. "Certainly not," said Kokomat. Kokomat stirred the waters into a foaming whirlpool with his hand. That reminds me of like Poseidon's trident. They frothed and swelled and bubbled, and when they subsided there was land, and Kokomat sat down upon it. Bakotol was angry because he would have liked to create the earth, but he said nothing and settled down by Kokomat's side. The blind evil one said to himself, "I shall make something with a head, with arms and legs. I can make it out of the earth." Bakotol formed something resembling a human being, but it was imperfect. Instead of hands and feet there were lumps. It had neither fingers nor toes. Bakotol hid it from Kokomat. Then Kokomat said, "I feel like making something." Out of mud he shaped a being that was perfect. It had hands and feet, fingers and toes, even fingernails and toenails. Kokomat waved this being 4 times toward the north and then stood it on its feet. It moved, it walked, it was alive, it was a man. Kokomat made another being in the same way, and it was alive, it was a woman. Bakotol went on trying to make humans, piecing together 7 beings out of the earth. All were imperfect. "What are you making?" Kokomat asked. "People," answered Bakotol. "Here," said Kokomat, "feel these people I've made. Yours have no hands or feet. Here, feel mine, have fingers, thumbs, to work, to fashion things, to draw bows, to pick fruit." Kokomat examined the beings Bakotol had formed. "These are no good," he said, and stamped them to pieces. Smushed! Bakotol was so enraged that he dove down deep beneath the waters amid rumblings and thunderings. From the depths he sent up the whirlwind, bringer of all evil. Kokomat stepped on the whirlwind and killed it, except for a little whiff that slipped out from under his foot. In it were contained all the sickness which plague people to this day. That's pretty clever. So Kokomat was by himself, except for the 2 beings he had made. These were the Yumas, and in the same way that he had created them, Kokomat now made the Cocopas, the Diegueños, and the Mojaves. In pairs he created them. Then he rested. 4 tribes he had created. After having rested, he made 4 more tribes: the Apaches, the Maricopas, the Pimas, and the Coahuilas. In all, he made 24 kinds of people. The white people he left for last. Ha! Oh no! The one he had made first, the Yuma man, said to Cocomat, "Teach us how to live." "You must learn how to increase," said Cocomat. In order to teach them, he begot a son, out of nothing, without help from a woman. He sired him and named him Comashtamho. He told men and women not to live apart, but to join together and rear children. Still something was missing. "It's too dark," said Cocomat. "There should be some light." So he made the moon, the morning star, and all the other stars. Then he said, "My work is done. Whatever I have not finished, my son Comashtamho will finish." Now among the beings Cocomat had made was Hanii the frog. She was powerful. Fire could not destroy her. Well, that's one dangerous frog, right? She envied Cocomat his power and thought to destroy him. Wow, so he made a being, the frog, right? Hanii. And then that being became jealous and then wanted to destroy him. Cocomat knew this because he knew the thoughts of all beings he had made. But he said to himself, "I taught the people how to live. Now I must teach them how to die. For without death there will soon be too many people on earth, so I will permit Frog to kill me." Hanyi burrowed down beneath the spot where Cocomat was standing and sucked the breath out of his body through a hole in the earth. Wow, that's kind of cool and creative, right? Then Cocomat sickened and lay down to die. He called all the people to come to him, and all came except the white man, who stayed by himself in the west. The white man was crying because his hair was faded and curly and his skin pale and washed out. The white man was always pouting and selfish. Whatever he saw, he had to have at once. He had been created childish and greedy. Comashtamho, tired of hearing the white man crying, went over to him and tied 2 sticks together in the form of a cross. "Here, stop crying," he said. "Here's something for you to write on." The white man straddled these sticks and then turned into a horse. So greedy one was satisfied for a while. For the last time now, Cocomat taught these people. "Learn how to die," he told them, and expired. "I have to make what my father could not finish," said Comashtamho. He spat into his hand and from his spittle made a disc. He took it and threw it up into the sky towards the east. It began to shine. "This is the sun," Comashtamho told the people. "Watch it move. Watch it light up the world." Then Comashtamho prepared to burn the body of his father, but since there were no trees yet, he had no wood. Comashtamho called out, "Wood, come into being! Wood, come alive! Wood, come here to where I stand!" Wood came from everywhere and formed itself into a great funeral pyre. Before he died, Cocomat had told Coyote, "Friend, take my heart. Be faithful. Do what I tell you." Coyote misunderstood Cocomat and thought he was supposed to eat the heart. Comashtamho knew this because he could see in Coyote's mind. So he told Coyote, "Go get a spark from the sun to light a fire." As soon as Coyote was gone, Comashtamho took a sharpened stick and twirled it in some soft wood until he sparked a flame. "Look, my people," he said, "this is the way to make fire. Quick now, before Coyote comes back." With these words he lit the funeral pyre. The people did not lament for Cocomat because they did not yet understand what death was. But before the flames had consumed the body, Coyote returned and leapt up quick as a flash to seize Cocomat's heart. He ran off with it, and though all the other animals and the people too chased after him, he was too fast for them. "Coyotes!" Comashtamho called after Coyote, "You have done something bad. You will never amount to anything. You will be a wild man without a house to live in. You will live by stealing, and for your thefts the people will kill you." Which is kind of interesting because coyotes do steal all your chickens, right? After Cocomat's body had been burned, the people asked Cocomatancho, "When will Cocomat come back?" "He will never come back," he told them. "He is dead. He let himself be killed because if he had gone on living, Then all you people would also live forever, and soon there would be no room left on the earth, so from now on, everybody will die sometime." Then all the people began to lament. They wept for Cocomat and for themselves. They did not want to believe that he would never come back. As they sat grieving, they saw a little whirlwind like a dust devil rising from the spot where Cocomat had been burned. "What is it? What can it be?" they cried. Comash Tamho told them, "It is the spirit of Cocomat. His body died, but his soul is alive. He will go some place, north or south, east or west. Somewhere his spirit will dwell. He will never tire, he will never be hungry or thirsty. And though we weep because he has died, Cocomat's spirit will be happy, always." And Comash Tamho instructed the people in the nature of death. "When you die, you will be again with those you love who have gone before you. Again you will be young and strong, though you might have been old and feeble on the day you died." That's an interesting similarity, believing that you'll be sort of rejuvenated after death. "In the spirit land, the corn will grow and will be happy." There's even corn in the afterlife, whether they were good or bad when they were alive. So death is not something to be afraid of. And when they heard this, the people stopped weeping and smiled again. Then Comash Tamho chose one man, Marho Kuvek, to help him put the world in order. The first thing that Marho Kuvek did was to say, "Ho, you people, as a sign that you mourn the death of your father Cocomat, you should cut your hair short." Then all the people, animals, and birds did as they had been told. The animals at this time were people also. They looked like humans, but when he saw them, Comash Tamho said, "These animals and birds don't look well with their hair cut," and changed them into coyotes and deer, into wild turkeys and roadrunners, into the animals and birds we have now. After some time, Comash Tamho let fall a great rain, the kind that never stops, where there was a flood in which many of the animals were drowned. Oh, another flood theory. Marho Kuvek was alarmed. "Comash Tamho, what are you doing?" he cried. "Some of these animals are too wild. Some have big teeth and claws and are dangerous. Also, there are simply too many of them, so I am killing them off with this flood." "No, Comash Tamho, stop the flood," pleaded Marho Kuvek. "The people need many of these animals for food. They like to hear the song of the birds. Rain and flood make the world too cold, and the people can't stand it." So Comash Tamho made a big fire to cause the waters to evaporate. Hey, that's cool. The fire was so hot and fierce that even Comash Tamho himself was slightly burned. Ever since that time, the deserts around here have been hot, and the people are used to the warmth. After that, he called the people together and told them, "Over there is your father Cocomat's house. We must pull it down because when a man dies, the spirits of his house and all of his belongings follow him to the spirit land. So people must destroy all the things he owned in this life so that their spirits can serve him in the other world." Well, that's an interesting theory. A little idea, right? Destroying the property. Okay. Also, after a man has died, it is not good to look upon the things that he used to own. One sees his house, but he who dwelt in it is gone. One sees his water Ola, but he who owned it is no longer here to lift it to his lips. It makes people sad, and they sicken with grief and longing. Therefore, you Yuma people must always burn the houses and possessions of those who die. That's an interesting funeral procession type of thing. And you must move to another dwelling where nothing reminds you of the dead. Also, never again mention the name of him who is gone. Wow, that's totally different than like at a Mexican tradition where you want to honor your ancestors, right? Well, you honor in a different way by constantly having a picture around them and like remembering them. He belongs to another life while you must start a new one. And from that time on, the Yuma have followed these rules. Comash Tamho took a huge pole, smashed the house of Cocomat, and rooted up the ground on which it had stood. Water welling up from the rut made by the people became the Colorado River. Hey, I've seen that river. And in it swam the beings that Bokatol, the blind evil one, had formed. The creatures without hands or feet, toes or fingers, these were the fish and other water animals. Yeah, I was just gonna think of the catfish. Now, Kahak the crow was a good planter and reaper. He brought corn and all kinds of useful seeds from the four corners of the world. He flew south to the great water, stopping 4 times on the way and crying, "Kahak! Kahak!" Each time he did this, a big mountain arose. After the overflow of the river which Komashtamho had made, Crow brought many seeds from the south for the people to plant. The tribes had been scattered all over the world, but Komashtamho kept the Yuma near him because they were the special people he loved. "Listen closely," he said to them. "I cannot stay with you forever. I am now only 1, but soon I will become 4. My name will no longer be Komashtamho. I will turn myself into 4 eagles, the black eagle of the west, the brown eagle of the south, the white eagle of the east, and the 4th eagle, whose name is unseen, because no man has ever caught a glimpse of him." Ooh. When Komashtamho had turned himself into the 4 eagles, he dwelt no longer among the Yuma in the shape of a man. 4 eagles. He kept watch over them. However, in their dreams he gave them power from Kokomat. Thus Kokomat advises the people through Komashtamho and tells them while they sleep, "Think about me. Think of what I taught you. Sick people especially should follow my teachings." Now Bokatol, the evil blind one, is under the earth and does bad things. Usually he lies down there quietly, but sometimes he turns over. Then there is a great noise of thunder. The earth trembles and splits open, and mountain sides crack, while flames and smoke shoot out their summits. Then the people are afraid and say, "The blind evil one is stirring down below." Everything that is good comes from Kokomat, and everything evil comes from Bakotol. This is the tale, how it was, and how it is, and how it will be. Retold from several sources among the Natalie Curtis report in 1909. Ah, the crow helped plant the seeds. Kahak the crow. And each time it crows, a mountain rose up. That's really unique. And Komashtamho turned himself into the 4 eagles. I think that's really cool. There's so much about the eagles for the natives. It's brilliant.